The film begins by showing the life of Bishop, who is now enjoying a peaceful time in Brazil. He lives on a yacht equipped with various weapons. One afternoon, Bishop goes out to enjoy a cup of coffee at a cafe. Suddenly, he is approached by a mysterious woman delivering a message from her superior. Her boss wants to assign Bishop to kill 3 specific individuals and make their deaths look like accidents. The woman warns that Bishop must accept the mission, or she and several of her associates already at the bar will kill him.
What are you doing?
However, Bishop manages to escape by jumping onto a gondola. Despite this, the woman and her reinforcements continue the pursuit, forcing Bishop to take a daring action to save himself. That night, a gang attempts to raid Bishop's yacht. Realizing the danger he's in, Bishop decides to destroy his boat remotely, eliminating his enemies at the same time. Afterward, he heads to the dock area and enters a secret container that holds his valuable belongings. Using a specialized computer, he requests assistance from his intelligence network to investigate who is behind the attack. Nevertheless, to avoid further conflict, Bishop chooses to disappear and start a new life in another country. Eventually, Bishop arrives in Thailand. He travels to a remote tourist island to meet an old friend, May, who owns a villa there. On the same island, there is also Bishop's old house, which he abandoned long ago. Although the house appears run down, hidden beneath the floorboards are important items he had prepared for emergencies like this. That night, the identity of the woman who approached him at the cafe and the mastermind behind the attack begin to be revealed. It turns out that the person targeting him is an illegal arms dealer named Crane. The next day, an American woman suddenly arrives to see May, asking for a first aid kit due to injuries that appear to be signs of abuse. That night, the sound of a fight is heard again from the boat where the woman is staying with her boyfriend. At first, Bishop is reluctant to get involved, but May urges him to help. Eventually, Bishop steps in. In the process of defending himself from an attack, Bishop accidentally kills the woman's boyfriend. While May evacuates the woman, who is later identified as Gina, Bishop boards the boat and inspects her belongings. He finds Gina's passport and phone, and to his surprise, there is a photo of himself on the phone. This discovery raises Bishop's suspicions that something is not right. To cover up the murder, he burns the entire boat along with everything on it. After returning to the island, without saying much, Bishop immediately interrogates Gina. He wants to know who sent her and whether she is one of Crane's operatives. At first, Gina is reluctant to admit anything, but eventually, she reveals that Crane did, in fact, send her. However, she insists that she is not working for him willingly. Crane holds a secret from her past that forces her to obey his every command. Gina also confesses that her boyfriend's death was part of a planned setup. However, she was unaware of Crane's true mission, which was to make Bishop fall in love with her. Once their relationship formed, Crane intended to use Gina as a leverage to force Bishop to follow his orders. But of course, Bishop is not so easily manipulated.
I don't work for Crane. That's the truth.
I spent my whole life setting people up to die and set you up to live.
The next day, Bishop investigates Gina's background and learns that she runs an orphanage for children rescued from human trafficking. This fact makes Bishop wonder, if Gina has such a noble background, what kind of secret does Crane hold that gives him control over her? Gina then reveals that a month earlier, one of her orphanage staff members was kidnapped. 3 days later, the staff member was returned in a horrific condition and eventually died. It turns out that Crane was behind it. He threatened to torture the other children unless Gina followed his every instruction. That afternoon, several of Crane's men are seen watching them from a distance. To buy time, Bishop asks Gina to pretend to be affectionate toward him so that Crane's spies believe the plan is proceeding as expected. That night, Gina apologizes for dragging Bishop into the situation. Her genuine care for the children moves Bishop. He recalls his own past as an orphan, sold at a young age to various criminal groups and trained to become a killing machine. It turns out that both Crane and Bishop came from the same training facility. The difference is, Bishop managed to escape while Crane stayed and eventually became a criminal. Unknowingly, a bond begins to form between them. That night, Bishop even gives Gina a watch he inherited from his adoptive father, a symbol of his promise to eliminate Crane so that Gina can return to a peaceful life and care for the children without fear. The next morning, Bishop is confronted by Crane's men. Gina is taken away, while Bishop is captured and escorted to meet Crane in person. Upon arriving at Crane's headquarters, Bishop is tricked into sitting on a chair rigged with a bomb. Crane then hands him a file containing information on his first target, Krill, the largest illegal arms dealer in Africa, who is currently imprisoned in a high-security facility in Malaysia. Crane promises to release Gina if Bishop successfully eliminates all 3 of his targets. As proof of her safety, Bishop will receive a live video call from Gina each time he completes a mission. Before long, Bishop arrives in Malaysia and begins gathering intelligence on Krill. The prison where Krill is held is extremely difficult to infiltrate, located on a remote island surrounded by shark-infested waters. Even if Bishop manages to get inside, he still needs to find a way to get close to Krill, who is heavily guarded by loyal inmate followers. After crafting a detailed strategy, Bishop prepares a variety of specialized gear, including tattoo ink, diver's cream, and other custom equipment. 3 essential items are smuggled in, hidden inside a cigarette, a stick of gum, and a can, as part of his infiltration plan. To gain access to the prison, Bishop decides to impersonate an international fugitive whose face happens to resemble his own. This fugitive is known for a distinctive tattoo of dice on his face, hence the reason Bishop previously bought the tattoo ink. The next day, Bishop sets his plan in motion by provoking police on a highway. It doesn't take long before the police notice the facial tattoo and the fake passport he prepared. As planned, they mistake him for the wanted criminal and arrest him. Bishop is then transferred to the high-security prison that houses his target. During the intake process, the guards do not suspect a thing. Once inside the prison, Bishop finally gets a chance to see Krill in person. However, getting close to him is no easy task, as Krill is constantly protected by his own loyal crew. For an entire day, Bishop observes Krill's routines and studies his movement patterns. During lunch, Bishop steals a knife from another inmate. Although it appears as if he plans to use it for a kill, the knife is merely a part of his larger strategy. Impressed by Bishop's skill and composure, Krill becomes intrigued and invites him for a private conversation in his personal cell. Unlike a regular prison cell, Krill's is unusually luxurious. He uses his wealth to obtain special privileges, including items for his spiritual rituals. This is the moment Bishop has been waiting for. Without wasting time, he renders Krill unconscious. Then, using his knowledge of chemistry, Bishop concocts a poison from Krill's own materials, making the death appear to be a natural accident. It doesn't take long for news of Krill's death to spread and shock the entire prison. Alarms sound, and all inmates are rounded up. Bishop immediately initiates Phase 2 of his plan. The item hidden inside the cigarette turns out to be an explosive. When combined with the modified chewing gum he brought, it triggers a powerful explosion, enough to blow a hole through the prison wall. Before diving into the ocean, Bishop covers his entire body with a special cream used by divers to repel shark bites. With this tactic, he successfully escapes from one of the world's most secure prisons. Soon after, Bishop is picked up by a fishing boat arranged by Crane. As promised, Crane shows a live video call proving that Gina is still alive, serving as a guarantee. Before long, Bishop continues his mission to the next location, Sydney, Australia. His second target is a man named Cook, a well-known mineral and coal tycoon. But behind his legitimate business front, Cook is involved in various illegal operations on the black market. Cook is heavily guarded by private bodyguards and resides in a luxurious penthouse atop one of Sydney's most iconic buildings. The penthouse is accessible only through a private entrance equipped with a retina scanner and other advanced security systems, making infiltration nearly impossible. Bishop begins analyzing Cook's habits over several days, studying his daily routines and identifying vulnerabilities during specific hours. Instead of breaking in directly, Bishop disguises himself as a prospective apartment buyer in the building. With this simple trick, he manages to acquire the building's blueprint and duplicate the real estate agent's key. As part of his preparation, Bishop also develops a special liquid capable of dissolving reinforced glass in a matter of seconds, an essential tool for the infiltration he's planning. Finally, the day of the second target's execution arrives. At the scheduled time, Bishop disguises himself as a technician to gain access to the apartment unit for which he had previously duplicated the key. Using a set of special tools, he manages to open the thick window on the apartment wall, just enough to slip outside and climb along the building's exterior. From there, Bishop scales his way to the underside of Cook's private swimming pool. As predicted, Cook, who had just finished his morning jog, dives into the pool. By the time Cook is in the water, Bishop is already in position, ready to strike. The attack is swift and precise. Crane, watching from afar, can only remain silent, impressed by Bishop's speed and accuracy in executing the mission. He immediately instructs his men to contact Bishop. During the video call, Gina appears and subtly signals Bishop to pay attention to the wristwatch he had given her earlier. Suddenly, one of Crane's men notices something unusual and abruptly cuts the call. It turns out that during the call, the serial number of the ship where Gina is being held was briefly visible in the background. Thanks to that clue, Bishop is able to quickly trace the vessel's location, still near the waters off Sydney at that time. However, realizing Bishop is closing in, Crane swiftly relocates the ship. Bishop then uses a helicopter to pursue the vessel and has himself dropped directly into the open sea. Using diving gear, he swims underneath the ship and successfully infiltrates it from below. Inside the ship, Bishop manages to take down many of Crane's men. However, due to their overwhelming numbers and Bishop's lack of preparation, he is eventually captured. Instead of killing him, Crane gives him another ultimatum: complete the final mission or Gina will die. He even has Bishop escorted back to shore. But Bishop, refusing to be manipulated further, decides to do things his own way. Soon after, Bishop arrives in the city of Varna, Bulgaria, to complete the third and final mission. This time, the target is Max Adams, an international arms smuggler as powerful as Krill. Max is extraordinarily wealthy and operates out of a heavily fortified bunker on the city's outskirts. The security surrounding the facility is intense, and Max even has several fully armed submarines at his disposal. To make things worse, Bishop is given less than 24 hours to complete the mission. Bishop begins by hacking into Max's security system using a specialized computer. From there, he discovers that Max owns a private helicopter that routinely lands on the roof of a particular hospital in their city. He immediately heads to the hospital, climbs to the rooftop, and from a distance uses a sniper rifle to shoot one of Max's bodyguards in the leg. As a result, the hospital quickly dispatches a rescue helicopter. By the time the helicopter takes off, Bishop has already snuck into its cargo compartment. Upon arriving at Max's compound, Bishop uses a signal jammer to disable the CCTV system, giving him more freedom to move undetected. He silently takes down more than a dozen of Max's men. However, Max, having anticipated this possibility, quickly enters an elevator and heads to his underground bunker. But Bishop, having studied the building's blueprint in advance, is one step ahead. He intercepts Max right in the bunker. Unlike Krill and Cook, Max remains calm, even impressed by Bishop's ability to breach his security. Bishop wastes no time and explains his intention. Crane has been using him all along to eliminate his business rivals. Now, it's time to turn the tables. Bishop proposes a deal. If Max pretends to be dead, Crane will believe all his targets have been eliminated. That would give Bishop and Max the upper hand, allowing them to retaliate using Max's extensive resources. Max agrees, and the plan is set in motion. They stage Max's death to look like he was killed by a trap set by Bishop.
Well, looks like we're ready to go.
When Max falls into the sea, Bishop quickly dives in and brings his body to a hidden location, one where no one would ever suspect he's still alive. Crane, still uncertain about Max's death, orders most of his men to head to Max's compound to find the body. But Bishop has planned for this. He tells Crane that Max's body has been stored in one of the submarines. Before Crane's men arrive, Bishop rigs the area with traps and specialized equipment, everything executed with precise calculation. After defeating all of Crane's forces at Max's base, Bishop heads straight to the location where Gina is being held. Crane, anticipating this move, has ordered all his men to remain on high alert, but it makes little difference. With his skills, Bishop is able to take down dozens of men without suffering a single injury. Seeing his men fall one by one, Crane activated his backup plan. He triggered a time bomb planted on the ship and left Gina behind as bait, hoping Bishop would die with her. Fortunately, the ship was equipped with an emergency escape pod, just enough for one person. Bishop quickly took advantage of it by urging Gina to leave first, so he could focus on chasing Crane, who was attempting to flee in his private helicopter. In the final seconds before the ship exploded, Bishop and Crane faced off in an intense duel. Bishop was caught in a dilemma. If he jumped into the sea, the blast could still kill him due to the close proximity. So, he decided to stay on board, though no one knew for certain how he could possibly survive. After a massive explosion destroyed Crane's entire ship, Gina survived, but Bishop's whereabouts remained unknown. All that was left was the wreckage of the ship, particularly the anchor hold, which appeared to remain intact. Max, upon hearing the news, initially assumed Bishop had perished. However, he remained suspicious. Upon further investigation, he realized the ship's anchor room was extremely sturdy and large enough to hold an adult. So he decided to hack into the port's CCTV system. Sure enough, nighttime footage showed Bishop quietly emerging from the wreckage, completely unharmed. A few months later, Bishop resurfaced in Cambodia. He visited the school Gina had established for orphans. Gina, who had never expected Bishop to be alive, was both shocked and overjoyed by his return. With their reunion at the school, the story of the mechanic, resurrection comes to an end.